This is an example of how one idea becomes many more, and then you find that you have to backtrack and do other things and correct them or do them so that you can move forward on this other thing, because it's related to a lot of other things that are like core elements for you to move forward. So I'm mostly using ChatGPT as the AI computer that I'm using. Sometimes I'm using Midjourney, but ChatGPT is doing a pretty good job. So this all started like this. I asked the AI if I had a solo show with a respectable gallery, how many original paintings would be expected for a solo show? And I'm not going to show what it said here, but you know, when it gives you the answer, it really breaks it down into all the different parts as to why and just all the details. It's great. Basically, it's 18 to 20. So I decided to start developing a collection for a solo show in hopes that I will find a respectable gallery that can represent me in that location. So I've got a one-page ad and a one-page write-up, artist spotlight in American Art Collector magazine, coming out in September. So this is August 1st, 2026. In 1 month that comes out. So, you know, that could get the attention of a respectable gallery, or it may take a few more ads in that magazine and write-ups to get to that point. But when I get to that point, I'm going to need artwork to sell in the gallery. And if I have a solo show, what might that be? I really like, you know, concepts, not just a bunch of random things. So, you know, there needs to be a story that's being told. So I got my answer, 18 to 20. I started developing a collection of artwork, ideas that I will be painting with real acrylic paint and real Prismacolor colored pencils. There is another brand that costs like twice as much that I'm going to experiment with and see if it's better. One of the things that is a drawback with Prismacolor, and maybe it's with the other one, sorry I don't have the name, but when you put it on completely, it gets a white film from the wax over it if you have too much on there, which I've battled with that for, you know, since the 80s, whatever that is, 40 years. I've dealt with it. So I'm going to try that other brand, and we'll have a video on that to see if it, you know, has a wax buildup. Okay, so that's, again, that's the side point. I'm developing a collection of 18 to 20 paintings. Mixed media, really. Acrylic paint and colored pencil. So this idea is the forest remembers her. So I developed the idea with the AI. and it generated images in painting styles that I wanted with this this theme. It's a very loose story here about a woman in King Arthur times. It has to do with the forest and a calling for her to go into the woods, and a pond and the moonlight and the lily pads on the pond and the lotus flowers, and that she finds something. But it's more about the artwork than the story. But there needs to be a theme for the collection in the solo show. Okay, so I'm going to go through what the AI came up with based on the prompts that I gave it. And as we can see here, I've already started the drawings. So I'm going to do drawings of the AI generated images as I would do if I took photos or based them on photos with real people. And they will be sketched out using a projector first so that everything's accurate. Then I'll begin the paintings. But going to be drawings, which there'll be more than 20 of them, so I can figure out which ones are better for the final 20 paintings. All right, enough talk. Here, let's see some pictures here. If we take this, let's see here. What I want to do, this all started, the collection idea started with some artwork I ran across on Instagram. So I want to show the artwork, which, you know, these days you don't know what's original artwork and what's AI. So these could be AI generated pictures that were on Instagram. I don't have any background on them at all. I just know that they came up on Instagram, and I thought, let's see, there's 7 images here I want to show. And I thought, wow, these are spectacular. If you know who the artist is, then put it in the comments. And if you know for a fact that it was AI generated, put that in the comments. Or you don't have to comment, just follow this process here. These are amazing. So I took these 7 pictures, I put them into the AI, and I said that I wanted to do this collection, and I wanted it to have a look similar to this artistically. So this would be the jumping off point, and then my style of art would take over after I got the basics here. If you're following this, look at this. Okay, there's 7 of these. So, you know, the mood, the color. This is not Maxfield Parrish, I don't believe. Although I don't know for certain. I mean, this kind of has his look here. Just like, I don't even know what to say about this. Who's that artist? Arthur Rackham. He did drawings for Shakespeare plays, Ring of the Nibelung, and others. That looks like his style. Look at the dark woods. Look at the emerald green and the golden yellows. Look at the woman walking down into the pond. So this is where the ideas started coming from. Again, the emerald green, the golden lotus flowers in the pond, the dark woods. Okay, notice these flowers here. I don't know what flower that is, but you'll see that that shows up in the first pictures that the AI generated. Here's the woman again in the woods. Here's the last one. Again, emerald green, blue, golden yellow, pond. Okay, those are the original inspirational artworks that then led, let's see here. Yeah, then it led into this, which was once I told the AI what I wanted and start generating pictures. Here's the first one. So we got the woman in the pond, we got the lotus flowers glowing golden yellow. Woman, pond, lotus flowers. Here's those flowers that are showing up. Castle in the background, dark woods, ferns. So imagine these as real paintings. Okay, this is after I started developing the idea, and it gave me 20 ideas of what the story could be. Look at this with the purples. And she's looking at the castle in the distance. And the pond and the lotus flowers and the lily pads and the ferns. So this is going to make a great painting. But this is before the story, the concept of the story developed. These are just ideas for paintings. Look at this one. You know, it's got all the parts there. Pond, dark forest. Here's those flowers. Lily pads, lotus flowers. The heroine, ferns. You know, the robe. So very classical. It's going to make a great painting. Okay, so let's go back to, try to speed this up here. I'm just going to scroll through all of the development, all of the image development that I did, and I'm going to be doing drawings of them and figure out which ones are going to make the best paintings. So I don't want to drag this on for 30 minutes. So I'm going to try to keep the talking minimal. So right now, that's what I'm working on here is this one, okay? The lily at her window. So I told it to give me the image, but then some details of you know, what I could do once I got the painting done with colored pencil and put in some beautiful detail. And then it gives me a color palette as well. So maybe after the drawings, I can work on, you know, some smaller paintings that show the, you know, the working the colors into the artwork before I do the final paintings. Okay, let me just scroll through. That's one of the original ones before I started the story. Okay, it started turning into more of a Thomas Kincaid look, which I don't want. So this happened through a number of images, and then I told it to stop doing that. It was just, it's too much. So we're going to see that for a little while here, and then you'll see it changes. So I won't be painting it like that. I'm gonna correct all that. Okay, now that's really nice. Okay, so here we're back to 20 paintings of the storyline, which are all looking good. I told it, don't give me any lesbian imagery, which is what this vibe is. This is supposed to be her meeting the lady without a name, and they have some transference of something, of knowledge, or you know, the empty robe or whatever, or I don't know, this book, The Keeper of Names, but not any lesbian references. So we're getting rid of that. So again, Thomas Kincaid look. This is about where I change it. I'm like, this is too much. There we go. That's where I changed it. I said, no. Thomas Kincaid, he was a great painter, no doubt. But that's not the style that I want for this. See, I said I need it more dark and serious. And so it came up with this here. So this is closer to what we want. That's a nice one. So then suddenly some random boy in there. So like, this probably won't be used. I might draw it, but that's not a painting that's going to be used. It's all about the woman. We're not going to do any kind of, you know, occult seance thing in the woods. So here, this is the transference of something. The only thing about this is it doesn't follow the story, because she found, you know, she found the flower in the window, so she would not be passing it on to her. So it looks like in the story she takes it with her into the woods. I'll work it out. The story isn't really the important thing, it's the artwork, but it just needs some sort of a loose theme. Now this right here is this is the drawing here. So here, the siren's bargain. So we're not gonna have a siren in here. This would be, you know, someone in the ocean, and it doesn't even have anything to do with the rest of the story. Like, when you look at this stuff, you can kind of see, like, you know, that looks a lot like Taylor Swift and a pose that she might have done in a photo. So it could be pulling that idea, because it's giving me that vibe there. Okay, now she descends into the pond, the dark pond beneath the lilies, to an open door with a light source. A blue light source below the lilies. Okay, and she enters some sort of chamber down there. It's really just a mood and not a exact story. So then I thought, well, you know, what if she's below the woods with the roots of the trees. So like this doesn't fit because there's the lotus flower, like she's coming to find it, but she was supposed to already have it. This blue glow here made me think, what if there were blue fireflies down there instead of yellow fireflies? What about blue ones? So I told it to add that. So now it starts coming up with this, the blue fireflies. Now she's come up out of the pond with a remembrance of all of the women that came before her, I guess. Again, details of the story are not that important, especially when you want people to imagine what the story could be, and they try to figure it out on their own. And each one can have a different perspective of what does this actually mean, what was taking place. Coming to the end here, we're at image 20, the forest remembers her. Oh yeah, this is where I said, you know, let's do something with the blue fireflies. And here it was, I want the fireflies to be spinning around her with like a crown, and then they're flying away, hovering over the pond and upward toward the full moon. So she has to be pushed to the left, so then it did. Still, there's too many sparkles everywhere, but we're getting the idea. Okay, this has a darker, better look with them going up, 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 up toward the moon, creating a crown for her. Okay, now we're back to some of the original pictures. Another storyboard concept, which is a little bit different than the other one. Again, added the lesbian scene, which we won't be doing. Okay, so that's it. That's all I wanted to say about the forest remembers her, and I wanted to throw this in conclusion. So back to the beginning of the conversation, which was you start working on something and realize there are some core elements that have to be fixed first before you can move forward. I've ended up, okay, we didn't get to the end part because it relates to what I'm talking about here, which is this. Okay, so I told it that I needed the dark pond with the full moon and the lily pads and the lotus flower, and it needed the title of the solo show, The Forest Remembers Her. So it came up with this, which is wonderful. So I'll do this painting, then we'll put this logo over it. But then it wrote L.HUNT like this, but it's not the accurate L.HUNT logo because of the spacing. The U has to be squared and the T and the N are always connected, right? So then it was like, okay, I need to go back and we need to standardize, have a master plan for the L.HUNT logo and work that out. So I've been doing that for the last couple hours before this video started. So once and for all time, it can just be the way it's supposed to be, and I can move forward. So I had to back up and start working on the L.HUNT brand logo system, official rules, and master reference plan. The structure identifies the artist, the material identifies the project, and it's because the logo needs to remain consistent but its appearance changes according to what the project is. So I had to work that whole thing out with the AI. So like, maybe I could just read this so that you can understand the L.HUNT brand logo system. It allows the artist's name to change visually from project to project while preserving a recognizable and consistent identity. Each version of the logo should appear to belong naturally within the world, mood, materials, and visual language of the project for which it was created. The logo is not limited to one font style, surface, texture, construction method, artistic medium, or material. The logo may be made to appear carved, painted, assembled, grown, forged, wooden, illuminated, weathered, sculpted, or constructed from nearly any imaginable material. However, the official version must retain the permanent identifying features established in this document. So I had to go through all of this. It ended up being 26 long and painful pages, okay? And so these are the rules for the logo. And so now I'm working out visually what the logo, the master plan of the logo should be. So right now, I'm telling the AI, the letter T is not as wide as the other letters, and it is visually noticeable. Please correct this. Also, the end point of the bottom of the diagonal for the letter N is much more narrow than the top point of the diagonal, which is, do you notice this in relation to that width? See that? That's not consistent. That has to be corrected. Also, because remember, this is the master, the basis for which all L.HUNT logos will be based on. Because, remember, they're not going to all be visually the same. So, if you look, here's an example of how I've used it a few weeks ago. I'm starting to change everything. This is the YouTube page, okay? It looks like weathered wood, but it's following the master plan. The N and the T are connected. The U is always squared at the bottom. There is no space between the period and the H, okay? This is following the master plan. Okay, so let's see what it tells us. So I'm not, this is not a commercial for ChatGPT, but if you work on anything like this, $20 a month is the best investment you will ever make. What's humorous and fascinating about ChatGPT is Google thought they controlled the world, and ChatGPT came in, and suddenly people are searching for things through ChatGPT instead of Google, and it's pulling mass amounts of people away from the Google empire. And it's just amazing how, so that's something to consider. Like when an organization like Google or Apple thinks that they control your entire life and the world around you, and they can promote anything to change your point of view about the world around you. And they think that now everyone will start conforming to their viewpoint because they have control, this control. And then suddenly, I mean, how do you create something that can just drop in suddenly and just start pulling people away from that? Anyway, it's something to look into and figure out, how did that happen? But again, it's another completely different topic. What do we have here? It worked for 53 seconds. And what did it do? What did we want it to do? Notice. Okay, much closer. This seems a little more narrow, but I think it's visually, it's fine. What was the other thing that we noted? I don't even know what we said. What is this? Make the spacing between the period and the letter H equal to the space between the period and the letter. Oh, okay. It still seems a little wide there. Letter T is not as wide as the other, visibly noticeable. Okay, so the width of the letter, the width of the letter T here, and I even measured it with this pencil. If you do this, and then you match it up to the N and the U, and you see that? It's much shorter. So what do we have now? Let's see. Here. Oh yeah. Okay. So the T is now, of course, the L is different here. I think it's compensating for the period, because I didn't notice that. Well, actually, you know, the letter L, this horizontal bar should not be too wide. I mean, in this, wow, it almost looks equal to that, and it should not be. So like, if that was the same, it would bring it all the way to here, and it would look awkward. So there's things about typography that don't follow the rule, because visually it would screw things up. Just like if you look at the letter O, it's never along this top line, it's always above it in the center, because visually it would look too dinky compared to the rest of the letters. So things like that have to be taken into consideration. All right, so what are we looking at here? The spacing here, I guess, is fine. The T now matches the rest of it. I think we might be good. I don't want to go on and on in this video. I think I covered everything I wanted to tonight. Thank you for watching. You 10 viewers, thank you.